Welcome back, everybody. I am Follygon here with another quick sketch done on my iPad in Nomad Sculpt. As you guys know, I typically digitally sculpt in ZBrush on my desktop computer, but I've been having some fun just kind of sketching and playing around here in Nomad. It's a little bit more chill to just kind of sculpt and experiment on my iPad than it is when I'm doing a little bit more professional work on my computer. There is definitely a lot that I could say about comparing the two pieces of software, which I've done a lot more in another video, which I'll link up here on screen for those that are interested. But these short little videos exist to be a little bit more experimental and just have fun. So this one is definitely a lot more humanoid than my last character sculpt that I did. I did a small little creature bust in about 30 minutes just the other day and posted that here. So if you haven't seen that, I'll throw a link below for that one as well. This one is more humanoid, like I said, but it is still, very stylized and exaggerated in a lot of different aspects. I wanted to create something that had this kind of very stretched face, which you can already see proportionally. I am heading in that direction quite a bit. That lower jaw, I wanted to push really far down and get this kind of big, hawkish nose. So those were some of the first aspects of this character that I created. I also wanted that really kind of large mouth that kind of wrapped around the entire face. I wanted to be very careful not to go too far in like a Joker direction or anything like that. But yeah, a lot of fun experimenting here with these shapes. This is what I really enjoy doing when it comes to just doing a quick sketch. Start off with a really basic idea, start creating some different forms on the surface, and whatever I create, whatever happy little accident along the way, I kind of just try to stick with that and continue on. So for those that are completely unfamiliar with the tool that I'm using here, in Nomad Sculpt, which is a digital sculpting program or application on the iPad Pro that you can use with an Apple Pencil, that's what I'm using here, and specifically within that, I am using a function that dynamically updates the geometry as you sculpt on it with all your different brushes. What that means is that you don't really have to worry about resolution or anything else. The software kind of gets out of the way for the most part, and you can kind of have a little bit more fun not worrying so much about the tools for controlling your geometry and just kind of get to work. Now, I am definitely a whole lot faster in ZBrush than I am sculpting in Nomad on my iPad, but what I really enjoy about it is that it's just a little bit more relaxing and I can feel like I can just have some fun and experiment. Whereas when I'm on my desktop computer, I have, a lot more tools and a lot more control within the program. In a way, this is definitely a lot more challenging, but on the other hand, it kind of simplifies the entire process so that I have to kind of work with fewer tools. Yes, that's more challenging, but in a way, it also helps simplify my workflow. I'm very much a proponent of doing things the easier way. Now, I'm doing things the harder way by doing this in a program that I'm much less familiar with, as well as having a lot less control and tools. But I enjoy the challenge, like I said, and I think there's also something that could be said for doing things the harder way. A really good example on one end of the spectrum is, for example, sculpting cloth, sculpting folds. There are a lot of softwares such as Marvelous Designer and Blender and ZBrush that can simulate clothing folds pretty well. And that greatly simplifies that process, which is really nice. But knowing and understanding how to create those from scratch, why certain folds go certain directions, and all the different types of folds that you can create is extremely helpful. If you were to be creating a stylized character, something less realistic, well then in that case, having a realistic simulation might not be exactly what you want for your character. But understanding what a half-lock fold is and how you could kind of take that idea and stylize it, exaggerate it, that is definitely a very valuable skill. But on the completely other side of the spectrum, in terms of doing things the harder way, you have to work smarter, not harder, right? If I'm going to be working on something for a client and I have a base mesh that I can start from to speed up my workflow and save myself time, save my client money, and get the entire process done a lot faster, that is a win-win-win in every single way. So in that case, that is definitely a really good example of when you would want to work smarter, not harder. I had a lot of trouble using the mask function here in Nomad at first, but I eventually did figure it out. I actually figured out later while sitting here recording, I thought that there was a particular mask tool. It's called the selection mask here in Nomad. It's called something else in ZBrush, and I couldn't find it at first, and it's definitely something that would have made working on certain aspects of this face a lot easier. But I hope that you guys have enjoyed the process. I know that we're still doing a little bit of sculpting here as I am working on that beautiful nasolabial fold and nose, exaggerating and pushing a lot of that form here. Definitely a lot of fun to experiment here in Nomad. But hey, no matter what program you guys are using, whether it's Blender, ZBrush, Nomad, Forger, Sculptura, I mean, there's a billion of them, right? Well, maybe not a billion, but there's a lot of them. But I think there's definitely something to be said about taking some time to just sculpt for fun, create something visually interesting that you enjoy working on, without getting too caught up in how things are going to look in the finished state and creating a really highly polished piece, but instead just focusing on the joy of the process rather than the finished result. But hey, that's gonna be it for this quick little sketch made in Nomad. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys enjoy this kind of thing where I do a quick sketch and talk about the process, let me know down in the comments. I can do more of these in the future. Click that subscribe button if you're new around here. Check out my Gumroad store if you guys are interested in things like brushes, materials, or any of my courses. I have a bunch of free goodies on there as well, so definitely check it out. There's a link down in the description. And with that, you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.